Welcome to the Fortress Fitness Lifestyle Magazine podcast series where we cater to you mind, body, and soul. Join our host, Mr. Victor Francis, and his guests as they discuss nutrition, health, exercise, diabetes, and much more. Right here every Saturday at 7 p.m. Now, here's our host, Mr. Victor Francis.
Hi, good night, good night. Once again, it's your boy Vic here from Fortress Fitness Lifestyle Magazine and the podcast. And again, we have another exciting guest. And I know I have a lot of viewers and people waiting to see who I have, who's my next guest. So this guest actually is from our sister island in Tobago, and you're all in health and wellness, right? So this is our second. Actually, it's our second because we had someone with healthy tea. That's Tobago, my Tobago sister. This guy is more, wellness and health and, getting people healthy and, healing Tobago people. And that's nice. So let me just bring on stage now, none other than Dr. Henry. Yes. Come on down, Doc.
All right.
Nice.
Nice.
Nice. Fantastic. All right. So I know I can pronounce your first name. So give you the opportunity before we get going to, pronounce your title and your name fully so the viewers can know, fully what you do and who you are. Yeah.
Absolutely. So once again, everyone, grand night. My name is Dr. Abiodun Henry. That's Abiodun Henry.
All right. Abiodun Henry. I told Doc you will mention that first name because, I'm going to bite my tongue a little bit. But, right. So I will go with Dr. Henry, right? I still soaking in that first name, Doc. Right. So let us know, first of all, what you do in Tobago there and, the name of your clinic and things like that. And then we'll take it from there and you will just, yep.
Absolutely. So once again, guys, for the third time, grand night. It is in fact a pleasure being here tonight. Such a pleasure. My name, once again, is Dr. Abiodun Henry, and I am from the Sister Isles, as mentioned, that is Tobago. Here in Tobago, I founded a clinic by the name of Dawn Effect Natural Health. And some people ask, so how did this name come about? How did Dawn? So once again, Abiodun.
All right. Yeah.
So that's how it came about, Dawn Effect Natural Health. At this clinic, I believe everyone has some form of a story, and it was birthed from a story, or rather some of the trials and tribulations that I myself experienced. Um, as a consequence of that, again, I decided that, I wanted to make some form of a difference. And through this clinic, we help persons to fight against different chronic ailments. So whether it be diabetes, whether it be cancer, whether it be high blood pressure, whether it be heart disease, or even stress. At this clinic, we provide different treatments, or rather methodologies to help fight against these particular issues.
All right. And that's amazing. And, every time a guest come on this program, Doc, is that it's amazing. All the guests that I have, just like what you mentioned there, they have a why, the background, why they open something, why they start something, just like myself, right? And it's amazing because I believe when you do something from the heart and from your personal experience, it's more authentic and it's more caring. It's more, you put more into it or outside of just whether it's working for someone. And I take it nothing away from that. I'm just saying it have more. I would say love and caring into it, right?
Absolutely.
And it have more love and caring into it, right? And well, I know tonight we would have mentioned that this episode would be more on stress-related illnesses, I believe. And you use the expert. I would ask certain things, but use the expert. So you can tell me why you choose that topic for tonight, and I will just we'll go from there.
Certainly. So, in my practice, I, as mentioned, look and deal with people with varying chronic ailments: diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure, heart disease, so many different diseases, not just physical, but also mental. And what I would have recognized, despite the age, despite the race, despite the gender, there was one thing that was common, and that one thing would have been stress. I think that stress is something that we have made, well, rather, chronic stress is something that we would have made something that is natural, normal, and on a daily basis we deal with it, and some of us don't talk about it, some of us don't recognize we experience it, and it, I've recognized, would have contributed to a lot of different diseases. And it is for that reason I think that it's something that we need to talk about.
Right. And when you said to me the topic tonight will be stress relief, it was really, it resonated with me because I remember myself some years ago, I, was not at 100 for some reason. And yeah, I'm a gymmer and all of that. And, I have a personal doctor that I go to every couple of months and we have a good relationship. And, I developed, at that time, it's over 10 plus years, my pressure just couldn't go down. It started to elevate just so. She was like, what's going on with your Vic? And I said, I didn't know. She says, a fit. Well, all the tests always come out, good. I go to check. I was one who like to go and check for things in advance. So I go check for, a spleen, liver, usual blood test, whatever blood the test could.
Yes.
She's like, I don't understand. And then she had a conversation, basically what you mentioned there, which is lifestyle and what is stressing you out. And she mentioned for a short period how deadly stress could be and what can it do to your body. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't aware of, when you take a ticket about somebody and you and like, but I didn't know the medical side of it, what it does to your body.
Absolutely.
And years go by. Obviously, I don't suffer with high blood pressure again, and that's over 15 years, right? I don't take pills and that kind of thing. That was just as a test. I could testify for that
Amen, man.
because why I was taking the pill for about a year or so. I know some of the side effects I wasn't pleased with and what the potential it could do, and me into fitness, something like that. But that's why I say now is that different. Being fit and being healthy is two different things, right? And I choose a lifestyle. I was always fit, right? But I won't in a healthy capacity as I should. So I choose from then to this day to be fit and healthy. So therefore, bye bye pills, right? And welcome lifestyle, right?
Amen. That's
And
beautiful.
yeah, and that's why our magazine is called Fortress Fitness Lifestyle Magazine, where we take a holistic approach to wellness. So it's not a fitness magazine. You will see one or two people, I will feature in that gymming and exercising, but I could tell you they too have stories of why they are where they are, right? And it's strange to mention that too because I can't call the protect the company, but it's one of our military arms. I do some work with them, and I know the job is very stressful that they do, and there's a lot of sick, you know, colleagues, right? I had a meeting with them, a lot of sick colleagues, and have some of the names that you mentioned there, some of the illness that a lot actually. I didn't know it was so much. I want to tell me how bad it is. The job is very stressful. Their job is very stressful, and the eating habits is obviously they eat on the go, and because of that, they are paying the price in a large number, right? And so, they are dealing with post that I am, when I met them, I said that's good. We do some collab together, but I try to do it pre based on what you're doing as well. Educate, and once you treat any post as well, I'm pretty sure you will deal with tell people, hey, this is your lifestyle. If you could do this, if you could do A, B, C, D, it will help you put your body in a position whereby in the event illness come, your body equipped to kind of fight it off for things like that, right? So that's kind of what I do. Is really build an umbrella of professional like yourself, and where people could watch not just this program or the magazine, but we actually physically go to the communities and have this dialogue with them face to face, and have the professional there, like a doctor or a nutritionist, or a lot of people just come to under the health and wellness niche, right? And but what I would ask you is that because I too have a job, I mean, which job is not stressful? Like life is stress, right? And how do we manage ourselves to move from the normal? Well, I taken on this so much to the point where we're stressing to get ourselves sick. What is the balance there?
Right. Firstly, let me also make mention that now stress is a natural thing. It is
Yeah.
supposed to be natural. However, when it's supposed to come and it's supposed to leave.
Yes.
However, when it overdo its stay is when it becomes detrimental.
Yeah.
And again, that is where people, I think that's the thing that people don't completely get. And that is what really mess up a lot of individuals. And I think, well, in fact, that is the entry route where diseases tend to strike from. How then, or rather, let me just also give a sense of understanding as well. Now, let's say, for instance, you are in a forest, you're walking through a forest with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones, what have you. And while you're walking through the forest, you start hearing some forms of twigs, some movements, but you know there's only three of you all. But somehow you're hearing more than three persons, you're hearing more than three things. Now, when you look to your right or you look to your left, standing there is some form of a tiger. Now, your immediate response is to run. You're not going to think your heart health isn't important, your digestive system isn't important, nothing is important at that point in time, but for you to leave that situation, for you to run. All right? And that is what we call a fight and flight response. Now, in that regard, again, nothing is in question or nothing is in focus besides you getting out of that situation and hopefully running with your family and friends too, but besides you getting out of that particular situation. The same way, on a daily basis, again, note what I said, without nothing else is in focus besides you getting out of that particular situation. On a daily basis, when we encounter different stress, like you would have made mention, whether it be from the workplace because the boss just getting on your nerves, whether it be because of some forms of multiple assignments that you have to do, whether it be because your household is in pieces, whether it be because of the fact that your vehicle just refuses to start, whether it be because of the fact that transportation, or rather the road, has a lot of vehicles, you have to get to work on time. And if you don't, it starts behaving in a particular way. Whatever it is, what tends to happen, just as in that particular situation with the tiger, your focus is on your body is in that fight and flight response. All right, so your body is not in much focus where it isn't it relates to your immune system and so forth. So, to answer your question directly, how does one even deal with stress? How do we find that particular balance? Well, we first need, as you highlighted, to understand or to gain the education as to what stress is. We need to first comprehend and understand what is stress because many of us, we hear the terminology, but do we exactly know what it means to be stressed? And I think that that is the fundamental, and that is the focus to first be able to disintegrate this whole issue of, let me be more specific, chronic stress. And again, it might differ to some people. It may be identical for some people with respect to the methodologies to help with the issue of stress, but some of them would include things like exercise. I know you made mention that you are a gym junkie, and that's phenomenal because with exercise, it tends to increase your endorphins. And endorphins is happy hormones. So it makes you feel a sense of happiness. You feel a sense of satisfaction. You feel a sense of, yeah, that's for form of a, yes, happiness. And again, exercising doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to the gym or you have to pick up a weights and lift the weights. I hear multiple time people say, "Well, I don't have time for the gym, that's why I don't exercise." You don't need to do that. If you can,
Yeah.
it's phenomenal. Absolutely right. If you could,
Yes.
that's phenomenal. If you cannot,
Yeah.
find other methodologies, find other ways to be able to do such. All right. So that's one. You also make mention of the nutrition. You said that you watch the way in which that you eat it. Again, that is phenomenal. As the saying go, you are in fact what you eat. And if I am to be more specific, you are what you absorb. If you consume something and that thing is something that is trash, then again, it's going to basically reflect on who you are as a being, right? You're going to
Yeah.
feel that sense of a weight. You might gain weight. And as a consequence of gaining weight, that stress you out. And again, you feel stressed, so you eat more, and then you continue to gain weight. And it stresses you more, so you eat again.
Yes, yes, yes,
Right?
yes. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's how
So
it goes.
absolutely. And that is something that we need to understand. It's something that we need to have an understanding of what it is. And once we can visualize what that is, then we could definitely be able to tackle it. Whether it be again through meditation, whether it be through again, if you're spiritual, trusting in God. The Bible says, I think it's in Luke, which of us by worrying can add a single hour to your day.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes, yes.
very important, right? It's not me said it, the Bible says it. So it's
God said
fundamental.
it. Yes.
Exactly, exactly. So we understand that stress is something that can be it's very debilitating, and you will see based on studies. Of a matter of fact, this morning I got up, look at my phone, I saw someone committed suicide. That
Yeah.
wow, that
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Touched.
A young person, I think.
Yeah, it was a young. I think he was 32 years of age.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, very, 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 very touching.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once it is, we can figure out also what is the root behind the stress, and then we can implement something again, whether it be exercise, which you should be exercising, looking at your food. You don't have to have a lot of money to buy healthy food. Meditation, doing things such as aromatherapy, if that's something that you're into as well, but and so forth. Um, again. Collaborating with your friends and families. According to the WHO, we also understood that health is not just physical. It's not just the absence of diseases, but it also looks at a state of complete physical, mental, and social. So here we have social. So we recognize that when we are in social setting, when we are able to collaborate and talk with people, that can ease someone's stress. That can help someone with some form of an issue that they might be having, and probably save a life. Right? So there's
Yeah.
mhm, multiple ways to help with stress. It's just for us to identify the root behind the stress and then implement the ways and work accordingly.
Yeah. And you said a lot there, Doc, and I know you're right in everything. But when you talk to people, as you rightly said, time. They don't have the time
Yeah.
to whether it's to go to the gym or and I rightly tell them as well, just as you said, any form of movements is good enough. It don't have to be the gym. I don't promote gym, I promote wellness. It could be savannah, it could be swimming, it could be whatever to keep you moving. But I think a lot of people comfort themselves by saying, they don't have the time in order not to make the time for themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And you're right, what we consume will determine, you know, what comes out eventually, and unfortunately there's a lot of people, a lot of us I should say, who wishing for the best down the road but not doing anything now.
Yeah.
Right? So you find, whether it's hospital or your clinic, would have a lot of people more like to react after the fact. I think we tend to have a culture of reacting
Yeah.
after the fact. Most people don't say, what, let me be proactive and make a change, no matter how small it is, right? And I think because life throws so much at you, if you will get conscious of, hey, you know what, no matter busy as I tell myself I am, let me still give a little 15 minutes, a little 20 minutes, right? Because I'm pretty sure most of the patients that come by you, based on how you're speaking, you will give them the advice of, try to do some exercise or and change your diet. Because obviously, as a doc, you will have to say that, right? So what I found in my speeches talking to people that are going to different places is that the one thing that's be said is that I don't have the time, right? Because of when they get up in the morning and you prepare food, breakfast for the kids and the husband or the wife, you have to go to work and you spend 8 or 9 hours. And the time you come from work with all the hustle and the bustle with the traffic and all of that, that could add to your stress. They don't have the time for themselves to even give themselves 50 minutes to exercise, whether in what form or fashion, whatever. What I often say is that life is about building blocks of habits. There's good habits to the right, there's bad habits to be left. And we have to manage that. And no one is perfect, but the building blocks of good habits should outweigh the bad habits and try to eliminate some of the bad habits as we go about our life day by day. And when we see people who in the 60s, 50s, who are not in the best health as they would like to, then it reflects on us at the time. You know what? Maybe I should. We tend to want to get a reason to start instead of starting to prevent that kind of outcome. So that's one of the things that I do, and I'm glad that you actually, you know, and I'm using the word now, care, because a lot of professional who practice, medical practice and thing, they will just do what they've been taught to do and all of that. But I think reach a stage in this world now is beyond that, right? Whereby educate and guide. You treat, but you educate and guide as well in a preventative way. All right. And a lot of people who watching this program, some being friends of mine and supporters, will I know you mentioned chronic stress is what is lead to this disease, right? And chronic stress, apart from the nutrition factor, chronic stress comes on, I think, based on what you mentioned, when it's like somebody rent, let's say you go on a vacation and you have 3 days. After 3 days, you had to leave because you pay for 3 days, but it's when you make it your permanent resident, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But a lot of people, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, don't know. Do they know you have chronic stress based on I don't know. What do you think?
Absolutely. That's a phenomenal question. And the answer to that is many of them don't. Many of them don't recognize that they're even stressed. And again, why would I make that assumption or why would I make that statement? In interacting with people, you would ask them, are you, tell me, so are you stressed? And the response is like, Doc, I don't know now.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
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 And they will give like different responses like sometimes I'll this and I just try to do this sometime, but me and Ona, yeah.
Yes, you're correct. I think you hit the nail on the head there with
Yeah.
that, because that's a Trini thing, eh? That's our thing.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't think anybody want to be stressed. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just that life, and do you think that they should have more stress management program in this country? What do you think?
100% yes. Reason. I find it very interesting that you can get a sick leave for some form of a physical issue. You break your hand or what have you, get a sick leave. But if you call for a mental health day, they'll laugh at you. They will laugh
Yeah,
at you
yeah,
so
yeah, 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 yeah. You're so right, because where I work, my colleagues, among ourselves, just one or two, they say, Vic, are taking a day, but I call it to myself a mental health day, right?
exactly.
It's not company given, but we as individual, we must say, you know what, I am taking, whether it's a casual or certified day, whatever, we taking it for our mental health to just, it could be just relaxing, go by the beach. It could be just something that you would normally not take time off to do, right? Because most of us, our practice is like, if we take a day or two off, outside of being not well from the job, it's always to do something outside of take care of ourselves. It's always somebody else, something else. I need to go to the bank. I need to go this. I need to do this for this one, that one. I found as I do my all this wellness thing, that everybody, we tend to be people who take care of other people and other people needs before us, before
Yeah.
ourselves. Because you call a friend or a family, hey, I want help with this, they run, right? But we don't put ourselves first. I was talking to a group of people in our organization the other day, and I said, and I can say this here, most of the insurance company, the medical claim, I was just reading a message there. What did you do? All right. So before I say what I'm gonna say, somebody asks, why do you do natural health?
Oh, so why do I do natural health?
Well, that's what's in there. Yes.
Reason, again, a story. Well, if I can get into it, just to summarize a bit, when I was younger, I had multiple different issues, including high blood pressure, different hair-related issues as well, call it alopecia. I was on the weightier side would be, well, yes, more towards the obese end as well. I had a variety of different issues, and I would have went to the hospital, different settings, trying to see if I could have sought some form of a help. But unfortunately, I was told that it was something I had to live with. I was given some forms of medication, like such as nifedipine, yeah, and I was told that again it's genetics and I have to live with it. Somehow that didn't resonate with me at all, and as a consequence of that, I decided to seek alternative methodologies. I did different schooling. If I start, I probably won't stop now, but multiple. And I recognize that with my interaction with these forms of alternative medicine, I would have gotten relief. I don't have high blood pressure. Well, my weight has reduced. Well, yeah. I do no longer have the issues of the alopecia. I no longer have different skin related issues that I would have had as well, just by implementing different, again, alternative medicine. Um, and besides that, I would have also tested on friends and families as well. And seeing the benefits that these individuals would have received, it was mind blowing. Without a doubt, to be honest with you, originally I wanted to do conventional medicine. But when I saw the significant benefits in that regard, I think that was a calling for me, and I just went with it. And that's why.
Right, but somebody is saying they're so proud of you there. There's somebody most likely you know. Right, Justin Alexander,
Right.
right. Right? Yeah, somebody you know, I know. Right?
Right.
Yeah, you're right. So you mentioned there, when I say mention the blood pressure thing, just like myself, so one of the things that I tell people when they ask me why I do what I do, I too was as I mentioned earlier on the blood pressure thing, right? And I said to myself, you know what? No. And it's strange that you mentioned what was told to you because the same thing was told to me, whereby, well, the doctor told me, right? They can't. I asked question. Doctor told me she cannot explain, how it would happen. I said, but I was okay all the time. I mean, tell me what I need to do. She said, well, it could be genetics. It come from this and that. I didn't buy that well.
Yeah.
I didn't buy that because I choose not to go down that road. I just tell myself, you know what, no, and I would have did some research as well as an individual, right? I know it wasn't just exercise because I was like, those days I was like super fit, right? But I know I used to eat everything in sight. I didn't have no restriction in what I eat and what I didn't eat because younger and you just want to do your thing and feeling or believing that exercise is enough for healthier life is not enough, and you know that, right? It's good, but you have to add something if you want to give yourself a proper chance, right? And it's nutrition, right? And I did that, and here I am, almost 20 years since then, right? Because it was a long time. I was probably in my late 20s, 30s, or somewhere there where that happened. So I could testify just like yourself, the things that I've done, and none of which would have been, these natural, this pills or whatever they usually give you, right? I was on it for about a year, though I would admit, when I was like, it was frustrating, but then here I am, But one of the things I realized too, Doc, is that most people don't do what you did, and even myself, they just go with whatever was told, and that's it there. Most people don't question, why, they get a diagnosis by whoever, and they say, okay, all right, I need to buy this, then that's it. Hence the reason why now I keep telling people, I trying to combat these things before it takes you. So I tell people, the same way we put aside, similar to what you said, Doc, the same way we put aside money for down the road, we invest each month, whether it's an annuity, whether it's a what's called a critical illness thing. And there's a lot of plans out there now that insurance companies coming out with, and it's good, it's fine, right? But they're preparing for what they believe will happen down the road, and they're only doing that because they know nobody taking care of themselves. Most people. So I tell people, all right, the same expense that they always say eating healthy is super expensive. That's a myth, right?
Yeah.
I do believe that because I do it. And if you say, you know what, I will spend an extra $300 on myself is something a little healthier each month. It gives yourself, you give yourself a better chance after all these years that these lifestyle things pop up, right? Because when it do pop up, the money that you think you're saving from buying the unhealthy stuff, you just never have it to combat yourself, and it's never enough,
True.
right? It's never enough. So one of the things that I want to say as well is that it's good to see young people like yourself really find that flag of wellness, and I call it that because that's what it is. Because any medical professional, whether it's natural or the other side, and having the conversation, you need to treat whoever come. That's your job. It's fine,
Yeah.
but actually having the conversation, how can put yourself in a better position to, either to turn back this or to stop it or prevent it. I think that is what we're missing outside of just going into our office and saying, all right, take this, come back again, take this. And to me, it's just plaster, right? And I'm not bashing anybody because everybody have their purpose, right? But education is the key. So, for instance, this podcast and other things that I do and other people like myself, giving people the window to choose. You understand? To choose, right? There's other option outside of the what we grew up knowing. You know, what we grew up knowing. Because again, there's a lot of things we do each day that we make it normal that we didn't know 20 years ago, right? It wasn't there before, but we're doing it now because we was told that it works. And I'm not talking about any medical field or the health field. I'm talking about anything,
Yeah.
right? Because life is evolving and things are evolving, right? And people tend to take chance on everything else but themselves, right? And the chronic stress, I know that is a burning topic, and you mentioned earlier on someone took their life, today is sad. And one thing I always tell myself, you know when these things happen, you know something I just follow these kind of things a lot. And to myself I just say, they didn't have no did it. Sometimes these people might talk to you and whoever it is normal, but something going on inside, eh? Because most of the time I hear these stories, you let somebody say, well, but I was now talking to that person,
Yeah.
I was, so people tend to mask what's going on inside of them.
Yeah.
And I know that's why, in global now, even in Trinidad, we trying to, this mental health thing is a serious thing.
Yeah.
Because the stress, most of it is stress related, I will believe, right? But how can someone who tell themselves, you know what, I'm not handling this situation or proper before I get to give you a disease or whatever, how can they, if someone come to you, I just try to put it in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody, anyhow, do people come to you and say, hey, doc, I'm really stressed out, I mean, what can you do for me? Do you get that?
Yeah, all the time, a lot of times, a lot of times. Correct.
Serious?
Yeah, yeah. What I want to also add as well, as you made mention, um, in Trinidad and Tobago, for every five suicide that we have, four of them are male. Four of these are males. And I wanted to make mention of that as well because there's a lot of stereotypes as well. And these stereotypes would have probably resonated from way back when, and it still exists in today's society, whereby which a lot of males tend to think that you're not supposed to show much emotions. You're supposed to just be tough. You're supposed to just be don't complain. And sometimes when they do complain, it's not being heard. And sometimes again they share, they just share in a sense that it's kind of an indirect, but they are brushed off. And when things like that tends to be the reality, people, I always say that your mind is your home. That's where it is. Everything begins in your mind. You start thinking something, from the time you start thinking something, images start happening. So in your mind, you start creating images. It doesn't have to be real, but it's in your mind, so you believe it's real. And so from the creation of image, your behavior, well, you start feeling a particular way. You don't want to go around nobody and you don't want to interact with nobody. And from, again, behavioral patterns start changing. Now, you behaving in a particular way, and your colleagues say, but she not accustomed getting on so, or he not accustomed getting on so. But instead of understanding and realizing this person might just be stressed, or this person might just be going experiencing some kind of thing, somehow we are in a culture whereby which, well, he ain't talking to me, so me ain't talking to he either, or
Yeah,
she
yeah.
and so that she man, she a real attitude. But then again, it's issues that these people have internally. So for me, when I interact with people who share that caliber, I tend to be honest with you, I have never had a consultation, never had a service less than an hour. I talk a lot. I
But
chew
that's good. That's good. That's good.
all information to ensure that you understand from the time you leave here. To be honest, I typically get that before even giving them any form of a treatment to whatever issues that they have. I usually hear, well, doc, I already feel better, again. And we just had a conversation. We just had a sense of a rapport. They felt that sense of comfort. They felt heard. They see that there is someone that is willing to listen to whatever issues that they're experiencing. There are ways to help with whatever problem. I don't tell people that's it. I do not. Because from the time you tell someone, for instance, well, you have 5 more days to live, I'm sorry, go with your family, give you a good, from the time that happens,
Yes,
problematic.
yes.
Absolutely problematic.
Yes, you correct.
Yeah.
You correct, Doc. And two questions I have here. One person would have asked on the screen, what are some of the signs of chronic stress? And then someone would have asked, where are you located, your clinic? So you could address whichever one first.
Okay, certainly. I'll go with the first one. What are some of the signs of chronic stress? Signs of chronic stress, you recognize that for some reason or the other, you just have a constant migraine. Your head is hurting all the time. You recognize that, well, your blood pressure used to be fine, but all of a sudden it's 180 something or 200 and something over something else. You recognize that your mental health just isn't, it's just not intact. Something is off. You recognize that somehow you're experiencing irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS. So your stomach starts feeling, every time you eat, you start feeling bloated. You recognize that your skin, all of a sudden, you start breaking out in different acne, or your eczema has gotten worse, or your psoriasis has gotten worse, or you recognize that you're going to the doctor, whatever methodologies they use, all of a sudden your inflammatory levels are so high that you're experiencing, different knee pains or back pains and stuff like that as well. The symptoms, the signs of chronic stress is in abundance, absolutely in abundance. But the common tends to be that whole headache issue, that blood pressure issue. Sometimes you could experience, depending on it, fast, they call it tachycardia, or you can see fast heart rate. That's something as well. So these are all, even hair loss. Hair loss is something that is very, very, very common. Again, when you are experiencing chronic stress, your body is not able to absorb all the nutrients as well as it should from your food. And as a consequence of that, have deficiencies, which again could show forth in different aspects, such as your hair loss and so forth.
Yeah.
Mhm. With respect to the clinic, where is it located? My clinic is located in Tobago. That's Mason Hall, Northside Road. Sorry, that's Northside Road, Mason Hall, Tobago. Yeah.
Right. Doc, I would say you're hitting nail on the head there, and you're correct because I have a coworker, a friend of mine, who was losing hair, but
Yeah.
she was really under some stress. I know, as like when she did went to the doctor, it's really stress related, and I was saying, girl, don't take them on because I mean, look how you're losing your hair, right? So I know for sure you're correct with that, right? Everything you're saying is correct. And I have a next friend. Well, this coworker is a very good friend of mine, and she suffered from high blood pressure for a long time. Now I find she's, I keep saying the girl is too long. Why, you need to change it there. She's trying now, but one of the things that she also suffer with is anxiety, right? So basically, like if something happened on the job today, she will go home tonight and it's in her head. She's studying it and whatever, right? And it's keep her up from sleeping, right?
Yeah.
So she don't sleep well. So you find, and that's happening for I think some years actually.
Yeah.
So she constantly on those medication because of she have to try to manage.
Yeah.
She not managing her, stress level good. And right now she has a lot of information in her body based on what the doctor told her. Right? And you would have mentioned something before, Doc, about outlets. Yes, right. And yes, we men, and I'm guilty of that. I think I mentioned this on some podcasts before, but you're correct. We men was told that we grew up, sharing our emotions is a form of weakness. Men are supposed to show emotions. Men are supposed to cry if there's something need to be, to cry for, and we tend to keep that inside. Hence the reason why men mental health is such in a crisis now, because suicide rate for men is way, way, way up outside of the women. And when I look at social media or groups in Trinidad, there's always, program woman train, this woman program, woman group, whatever. I have been seeing a lot of men program. It may have a few in churches that will stay in the church, but I haven't seen in public, hey, we having a seminar for all men, let's come talk about. I think this is needed. I myself will try to be advocate for that in 2025, and I'll most likely, I'll try to get you on board in Tobago there, right? But we need it. It's one thing to say what we're saying, but it's another thing to say, what can we do now to make it, at least what can we contribute as we recognize what is a crisis for men, right, in our country, Twin Island, Trinidad and Tobago, because it is, right? And I also, go to certain schools and talk to certain people, young men, right? And I went to a particular school this year, and the guys, young fellas in them is like, they was like, the people who they look up to is not the people you want your boys to look up to. And I think you know what I'm talking about, right? So we are lacking positive role model to let the young men of them know, what, even though the situation is this, there's an alternative. You don't have to go down that route, right? We need positive influence will help, and we need positive conversation like what we have in here. So men, not just boys, can say, what, let me call Doc. Let me call this one. Hey, Doc, how we going on, brother? This boss of mine, boy, whoever. A simple conversation based on what you mentioned there. When they leave, before you even treat them, they're feeling better already.
Sure.
You understand? And that by itself, we had a creative platform. We cannot wait. That's why I do what I do to one reason. If you're going to wait for the people who's being empowered or paid or whatever ministry to do what we say here, we already lost. You understand? So we cannot wait. It starts with me. It starts with you. You doing your thing, I do my thing. And really to get to save some of the young ones and to help those adults, men who suffering from what we was told as a youth growing up. Don't share our emotions. If you show emotion as weakness, if keep that macho-ness, and that false pride up there, and it actually killing us, right? Because we feel that we don't have the outlet. And the strange thing is that some of the men who suffer from that, they might be the most fun guy in a crowd, right? Right? They might have friends, they might be popular, but when they're in the private space, they feel they has nobody to talk to, right? And one of the things I want to say, Doc, is that I had a lot of people come on this podcast and good interviews and good talk. The topic are always good, but I will say that I'm very much enjoying this session, right? I'm very much enjoying this session because it is related to not just treating illnesses in natural way or whatever. It actually is real talk based on what you would encounter in as a professional in your field. It's similar to what I encounter in people who just stressed out and they feel they're too stressed to make time for themselves, right? Right. What products do you supply in places of the normal? Right. Now, what it's saying is that what do you do? What product that you have, that you prescribe to manage stress?
Right. So what do you do to manage stress? First of all, like indicated, we go through a sense of a thought therapy, for want of a better terminology.
Nice.
For us to first identify what is the root behind your stress. So if you are not able to identify it from the time we are done conversing, I can figure it out. In that regard, we then find methodologies to help deal with the stress. So whether it be, you can call at a certain point in time, you could do this at that point in time. I do accommodate that as well. With respect to different medicine and so on in the natural side, we utilize different. I do make mention of different things such as ashwagandha is something you can use as well. It's an adaptogenic herb that you can implement in your lifestyle to help with lowering different cortisol levels, stress, which is a stress hormone. Different things like aromatherapy as well is things that we do at the clinic here to help people to lower whatever stress levels again that we identify, we pinpoint, we target. There is something called a bioresonance machine that we also utilize as well. From that machine, it's able to detect, what have this stress been interfering with? So has it been interfering with your gut? Have it caused your microbiome? So that's another very, very fundamental topic that needs multiple podcasts to talk about. So has it been affecting your microbiome? Have it been affecting your heart health? Have it caused you to build up, things like atherosclerosis? Have it again based on different things. So we first figure out exactly what is the target organ or whatever, what has this chronic stress, what damage has it already caused. In that regard, we then find different additional products so that whether it be things like black seed oil, or chlorophyll or what have you, specific to whatever is.
Yeah. So based on some of the things that you mentioned there, do you think that outlets like swimming, going to the beach, the natural way? Let's go the natural way first.
Yeah.
Would you recommend people get more involved in activities that de-stress them from a
Yeah.
daily the daily hustle and bustle, and that might be a big help, right?
Mhm.
Before it reach chronic illnesses. Would you recommend that someone who in a high stressful job, right, which is I guess nearly everybody, right? Do you recommend that yoga, swimming, reading a book, things that could take your mind off whatever it is could stress you? Would you recommend that, not based on a cure if it didn't reach chronic, but just based on conversating? Do you think that is a area that people can go to naturally?
100%, 100%. Yes, like we indicated, the whole factors of whether it be swimming, whether it be cycling, whether it be going on the road for a run, whether it be going in your garden, that's fundamental too.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
that's very therapeutic. And people who go to the garden again tends to live longer. Fun fact,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Beach is
yeah.
good too. That's very therapeutic as well. All these environments, I absolutely, yes, they can definitely help your stress level or your cortisol. That's your stress hormone. It helps it to reduce, lower. Reading a book is for some people find that very tedious. But if it's an interest of yours, then that's phenomenal as well. Watching a show, meeting with
Yes.
friends, going to the movies. Not sometimes I say, all work no play make Jill and Jack dull people. Uh,
Yes, yes.
so finding
Yeah.
different methodologies to just have that sense of fun, that sense of give your mind a break for once for better terminology. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that because again, I think the majority of us in this country is just time. The word time is come out a lot.
Yeah.
I don't have the time, doc. When I come home from work, I do this and that. That. I just hear it a lot when I try to convince people to exercise at least, make at least half an hour a day. Right? Most people tell me, they have a treadmill home, but they're hanging clothes on it. you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because of life, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
the strange thing, we doesn't make we just always find an excuse to not make time to do those things. But when we unhealthy, we just make time to go to the doctor. We just make time to go and get the drug, whatever it is. So I think we are lacking more programs, not just like this, more programs of people like yourself who will break it down in a way whereby people will understand the so importance of dealing with things a particular way as a doctor, as a naturopathic doctor, and
Yeah.
even the medical doctor, those doctors as well will say the same similar of lifestyle, because when doctor give you medication, the traditional doctor give you medication to treat whatever, most of them, if not all, will say, you know, change your diet and exercise. I think that comes naturally. Those
Yeah.
lines come naturally with treating diabetes or
Yeah.
high blood pressure. Change your diet or whatever, and they do what they can based on that, right? And we tend to, but what I've recognized, Doc, is that I mean, even our family, we have it whereby, we just I don't know if it's a culture of not making the time for ourselves and believing in the labels, that things that we buy that is okay, healthy for us, and you and I know, and
Yeah.
some of us know that is not,
Yeah.
So I am just will continue to spread the word. I only could what I encourage and have the outlet like people like yourself to guide people to give them the help that they need, and I would always be an advocate for good health and wellness holistically. I have people who is personal trainers who, if that is what you need, fine. Just as yourself, doctor, and people who have sweet potato flour, cassava flour, dashing flour. There's a lot of vendors who have the stuff, But another thing is that when I talk to these vendors via the podcast or in real person, a lot of people don't know where to get some of this stuff.
Yeah.
You understand? So like
Yeah.
somebody asks, where are you now? You in Tobago. Now, based on this podcast, there's a lot of Trinidadian may not know before this podcast, know who you are, right? And I could tell, and I know I'll get a lot of questions come tomorrow based on, this podcast. But then they had to jump on a boat or a plane to go across there physically, because I know that you also do. I think you mentioned you do. They can call in and have a consultation.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
offer that as well.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes. So yes, we do offer consultations as well. For whatever issues that might be present. Sometimes people just want to call just to gain a sense of understanding as to, I don't know, what services are being offered, because like you highlighted, we tend to go with what we know. And a lot of people are not fully aware of the natural ways and means of being able to take care of themselves and so on. So people want to find out, they want to know, because again, we're as we continue to, live and so forth, new information is revealed and so on. And so they want to gain that information. So yes, consultations are being offered as well. Correct.
And you're right, Doc. You
Yeah.
hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
People want to know
Yeah.
there's another option,
Yeah.
right? And but again, they don't know where to get it,
Yeah.
right? I can tell you that based on the people that I've met on this podcast and outside of the podcast, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody thinks that you would have recommend outside of the consultation via phone, right? I know you're on social media, yeah.
Yes, correct
So
is right.
they will get your information. They can get your information on social media.
Yes. Or you can message whichever is favorable as well. I can give you the contact information for the clinic. So I'll give you 1 minute just to run, get a pencil or pen, paper, whatever you need, or your cell phone.
Yes. So what you can do, Doc, whilst they're going to get the pencil, the pen, the
Yeah.
phone, right? When a minute up, you could just spit out the social media, your social media handles, and
Yeah.
everything that they would need to get on to you at
Yeah.
that point in time. Yeah.
Certainly. So the social media is Don Effect. So that's DON, 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 and Effect, EFFECT. So Don Effect. You can go on Don Effect both on Instagram, on Facebook as well. So Don Effect is the name.
All right. And you would have the contact information there as well.
Correct is right. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So people, it's just all over the name. Facebook, Instagram. He's in Tobago, but we just go to Tobago for parties. We just go to Tobago for Carnival. I think this is the month October, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometime, all right. So jump on a plane, because I will say it here: your health is more important than any carnival that any country could have,
True.
and it's worth it, right?
Yeah,
And I think I need to bring back Mr. Henry here, because I think the based on what I'm seeing, yeah, people need your information and they like this dialogue. So again, I know soon we will contact you and choose a topic. This particular topic I think is needed at this point in time in our society, because we have so much things happening. When you read and if you listen to the news, most of that level of outbursts I'm seeing happening out there, I believe is stress related, and people not talking. You understand? People is not talking. People is acting and reacting. Nobody not sitting down. Yeah, they're not speaking, right? And what I could say is that even with illness to doc, there's certain people that I know right now who came to me and they have a particular fatal disease, which we all know what that is, right? And it's cancer.
Yeah.
And we tend to keep it hush hush now. Our culture is to hide illnesses. I be straight. And I told someone yesterday, when they come out, there's somebody who might have beat that or going through that who have some kind of information that can help you. When you keep it to yourself and probably just your household, you're limiting yourself from any possible help that really can help you. I know it's more thing. Now I see one or two people coming out and say it. No, and that's I applaud them for that, because so many people who I work with somebody who actually beat it, and when we sit down and talk, and we talk from time to time, somebody thinks that they learn through that they wouldn't have learned if they didn't go through that, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Somebody thinks that it feeds on what you would know. Somebody thinks that you need to avoid, they know now. So imagine someone would be diagnosed with that, talking to somebody like that, not having the information. You might be feeding it without knowing and making it worse for you because you're keeping it to yourself. You understand? So that is what I just tell certain people. I say, listen, give yourself a chance. You just take a chance in yourself. I think gone are the days where we keeping everything to ourselves and we shy. You can't be shy for help. You understand? You can't be shy for help. And I'm saying it out there. I welcome everybody. The slim, the thick, the obese. You want to get healthy? You call Fortress. We put you on to somebody who can help you. Not in the gym. That's not your first step. You talk to somebody like you talk to a nutritionist. That's what I do, right? And bring you to a point whereby you can say, you know what, I'm better today than yesterday. I make a step today that I didn't make yesterday. So it's all about educating people, encouraging them, and getting people like yourself who doing a fantastic job, right, in our sister island, right? Because I know we need for it. We desperately need for it. I mean, this month is Cancer Society. They recognize this month. I would have, do a video to put it out just now, because listen, I don't speak of it much because for those who don't know, but I said it already this platform. So, part of my why, my mother would have died from cancer 20 years now. I lost two brothers on cancer.
Wow.
My uncle died from cancer, one of them. I recently come from Grenada. I was in Grenada in January. First trip they never had some family. One of my closest cousins died from cancer. Right? So there's one can say some negative thing after using that statement, right? But I don't speak negative in my life, right? God is good. God is good, right? And by saying that, it means now, what can I do in the present to say, in the event something happened negative down the road, pop up on me, at least I'm doing something today to give my body a chance to deal with whatever. Not doing anything is following the same footstep of your family or friends who you would have seen go through a process that is not a nice process. I've lived it. I can tell you, it's not a nice process. So I beg people, listen, this cancer fight for me is and all that I'm doing is personal for me, And
Mhm.
I didn't keep it for me and say, well, you know what, I'm fit, and I believe up to this day, I'm knocking something, I should be healthy, and nothing pop up. But
Right.
I'm reaching out to help others,
Yeah.
right? And I'm saying this, you know what? I have high blood pressure, and I don't have it over 20 years now. And just as yourself, I refuse to submit to what was told to me.
Mm-hmm.
All
Mm-hmm.
right. So people out there, look, Doc story was, is similar, and other stuff outside of the high blood pressure. But
Yeah.
you made a change. I mean, you made a drastic change because you actually went down a particular field.
Yeah.
You understand? You went down a particular field, right? So you're reaching back now and help someone, and that, my brother. I want to thank you because you didn't just fix yourself. You actually you fix yourself, but you say, you know what? I want to help others. I want to help, you know, the men and women out there who may not have the not just resources, the will to go the distance to become a doctor who do what you do. So I want to say, Doc, I want to say thank you. But before I go, I just want to give you the floor to in leaving to say something before we go.
All right. So thanks so much for that. I appreciate that a lot. I want to also before, well, I'll take it in stages. So the first thing, I really appreciate what you do. It's very very much appreciated. Like I think that I'm saying it, but I don't think you understand the severity or the extent to which that I do appreciate it because like indicated, you said that multiple people of different arenas, whether it be nutritionists, whether it be medical doctors, conventional doctors, whatever it be, to come to one place where people can come at that identical place and gain insights and foresights so that they can make the decision that, you know what, I think I want to do this, or I think that, I should do that. I think that is grand, and I do commend you for that. And that's a lot of blessings. So that's great. Additionally, you highlighted that your family members have would have unfortunately had certain circumstances, but you don't call that upon yourself, and that again is very much commendable. With that, I just want to add that remember to everyone who is listening as well that there is powers in the words that we declare. And saying something means that you're speaking it into existence. Sometimes we there's like we are there and we'll say things like, I real stupid in a way, or I
Yeah.
read this in a book. And again, it happens so unconsciously, but that has significant effects on you as well.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And you
Yes.
really want to, slip that by the bud and don't have that, flourish into any form of or anything.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's very, very fundamental. Um, again, guys, in terms of social media platforms, again, it's Don Effect, DonEffect. There you can find all the information. You can find the contact data as well. Real quick, it's 7639794. 7639794. Whatever issues and so forth that you experience, and remember that everything is possible. I don't believe that there is anything that cannot, you can't fight off. Um, and I thank you all so much for coming out tonight. It is, in fact, a pleasure once again being here, talking. The conversation is, in fact, something that warms me because I know that it can make some significant difference and save lives. Another thing that I want to also add is that sometimes we make so many different excuses. Well, health real expensive. Let me tell you something. If you think health is expensive, sickness is more expensive, right? Way more
Yes. Yes.
money, way more money. So please, if you have the opportunity now, prevention is always better than cure. Always better than cure. Try to see whatever means, and remember, health is not just something physical, it's mental too. If you know that there is mental issues you're dealing with, find somebody, seek something, do something, except instead of not doing anything. All right. Stay social. Do what you need to do. Exercise. Do meditation. Do yoga. Read a book. Drive. Laugh. Just laugh. Watch a movie. Laugh. Laughing is free. You don't have to pay for that, and that's medicine. Laugh. All right. And I once again thank you all so much, and I definitely would look forward to interacting again.
Yes. So thank you, Doc, for coming. Thank you again, and I do appreciate you. And I talk on behalf of myself and Candice Reed,
Thanks
my
a lot.
editor-in-chief, and it was amazing. And I'm going to have you back once you have the time,
Yeah.
right? Because I think the viewers really enjoyed this topic, and I can tell that they appreciate you. Just like, and I want to say, I do appreciate you. I do appreciate the work that you're doing, and I will always be an advocate. This platform is yours whenever you want to come to talk about anything concerning what you do there, and we will spread the word, and we will continue to encourage our fellow Trinbagonian in order to save lives, right? Because that's the business we're in, saving lives, right? And it's mind, body, and soul. So thank you so much. May God bless you and your family, and have a blessed night.
Thanks for watching. Special thanks to our partners, Virtuoscope VA Services, where you get virtual services done your way. See you next weekend, same time, same place.